For Reaper Metal Productions, I am Adam of Unbaptized Records, making a brand new video for you today. And today's video is going to be another unboxing-ish video. This order is from Headbangers. So 2 CDs and an LP, plus it looks like some bonus goodies. So without any further ado, I will show off the first 2 CDs that I got. First is Dark Angels, Dark Descent. So the reason I picked this up is because I've been going through a lot of the 80s bands that I just missed out on listening to, especially debut albums and demo stuff that I know that they're bigger name bands, and then obviously tons of the underground stuff I've been listening to too, but bands that I know the names of that I just haven't really indulged into, especially again the debut albums. I'm really glad I've gone back and listened to some of these bands because they're obviously classics and I just had missed out on them. So I'd also recently picked up the first Overkill album, which I for the longest time was called Field of Fire. It's called Field of Fire. I didn't know. So Reaper actually was selling his copy, so I picked that up and listened to it. I also happen to have listened to Bonded by Blood on Paul Bailoff's birthday. Obviously passed away, I don't even know, probably before I was even born, or maybe a little after. I really have no idea because it's not one of those bands I keep up with, even though they're like the second iteration of the Big Four. So I don't know if Dark Angel falls on that list, and it would be like Overkill, Exodus, Testament, maybe Dark Angel then, but of the 4 of those, this is definitely my favorite. So this is one I slept on for a long time. Listened to it on Spotify the other night, and my socks were just firmly blown off. I thought it was just going to be a lot lighter than this was, but this is a very aggressive album, especially for its time. So I would definitely say this is up there as one of my current favorites now. So I'm really glad I picked this up because Headbangers just happen to have a copy in stock. This is from Icarus Records, so they're from Argentina, and it comes with a bunch of bonus stuff on here too, which is freaking awesome. So really glad I picked this up, really glad I listened to it. I was going to make a separate video, but I probably will just throw it into this video. So I would say hidden gems for me by some of the bigger bands from the 80s that I just slept on, and then one smaller band that I'm really glad I listened to would definitely be so Dark Angel, this first album, and I listened to some of the second album. That sounds kick-ass too, so if I find a copy, I'll definitely grab that as well. But also the band Morbid Saint, so the album Spectrum of Death, another one, fantastic, really aggressive, awesome 80s album. Wish I'd known about it sooner, I just had slept on it. So those 2 are awesome. So this one and Morbid Saint, but also the band Power Mad. So one of the, I guess you call them, one of the devils in the comment section of J-Dawg's videos mentioned it, and I guess he only knew a song or 2 from somewhere, but I looked them up and they were really good. And they only have like 1 album and an EP, I think, and I picked it up a little while ago and listened to it, and that was another band that I think that release came out like maybe 89, so right on the cusp of the 90s, but that's more like heavy metal with a little bit of speed, but mostly I guess heavy metal, thrash metal with a bit of like kind of like a Metallica or Testament vibe, but the vocals have a bit of Judas Priest or King Diamond in it with the highs that they hit. So if you have never heard of Power Mad, it's a pretty good band. I've definitely talked about them at least once on the channel before, but I highly recommend it. But Darkness Descends is awesome. It might be one of my new favorites. Debut albums from the 80s, so glad I've been listening to a lot more of that. Another one that really happy I listened to, actually 2 albums. One I have here, I'm not gonna, well, maybe I'll pull it out, but yeah, so another 80s band, 2 more 80s bands just to throw. Honorable mentions, Metal Church, so this is the second release, The Dark, but the first 2 Metal Churches and the first 2 Annihilators are classic 80s bands that I just never listened to, and I'm glad I did. So those are 2 more bands I picked up and listened to fairly recently, so going back in time listening to the classics. But this is an older band as well, early 90s, but you all know it from Justin's channel, but that is Profanatica, and this is the new mini CD called Wreathed in Dead Angels. So they have CD, LP, and tape of this, I believe. I just picked up the CD for now. I might pick up the LP later, especially in a month from now when I'm in Ohio for Dead by Dog. I might pick it up in person, who knows. But I know there was also a repress of an older album that came out, CD, LP. I'll probably pick that up when I go there. But this will be cool. So I've never seen them live. Obviously, they'll be at Dead by Dog, so I'll have Paul Ledney sign this. So that'll be cool. And I listened to a song or 2 of that as well before I picked it up, and that's why I picked it up, because I don't really own much by the band, and I thought it was really, really good. So I'm really glad. So they're a band I'm definitely going to get more into, and especially being able to see them live in a month from now is going to be cool. So But before I show the LP I picked up, I also got a few bonuses here. So we'll call this the J-Dawg special. He threw some extras in this pack for me. So it looks like the album he threw in on CD is Goat Moon, the album Stella Borealis. So it's a Werewolf Records release, obviously, and you know that House Headbangers is the one that distributes all of Werewolf's music. So his music and then the band's on his label. So this will be cool. I've never listened to him. I've obviously heard of him. I've just never listened to him. So I'm definitely excited to listen to that. And then I got a tape related to Attic, and I immediately knew when I saw it through the bubble wrap because it has Attic's like their cross logo on it. So this is really cool. I'm not 100% sure. I guess it's just the album Sanctimonious on tape. But it's interesting because in the back, it doesn't show anything on the J card, at least on the side, and on the front just says Sanctimonious. It doesn't even have Attic on there. So then on the side it says Attic Sanctimonious. So I don't know. That's pretty cool. This was included. I can't see what it says on Act 1, so I'll open this eventually, but that's pretty cool for including this. So, again, another band, obviously, See It Dead by Dog, that's kind of the big draw, and I did pick up their 3 albums on LP, so I'll bring all those with me to get signed by the band, you know, be it the Bucks pre-show, obviously, and then the Hell's Open House before that, so that'll be cool. And then, speaking of Hell's, the release that you should know by watching this channel and J-Dawg's channel, because the same video was on both. And then a quick shout out to the band Noxus too, real quick, because I know Justin sends out a lot of these, and I think it's I think one of the guys who works for House Headbangers, maybe it's his band. I listened to him. I haven't picked it up yet, but he has a few pretty good releases, so definitely something I'll pick up at some point. But Noxus, so check them out. I'm sure if you buy from Hell's Headbangers, you get stickers too. And yeah, got Noxus on the little flyer here on one side, and the other side, I got a couple releases. So Whip Striker, which I don't know anything about them, I'm not going to listen to them. Genocidal Rights, I don't know what the fuck that is. Rotting Crushed, so I did pick up that CD already. And then Caustic Phlegm, so they have the CD, LP, and tape. I have the CD, and I know you can't see it, and it's too dark to really show, but just a little flyer that came with it, so I already have the CD and LP, so they're awesome. So we all know I love that band, so. But here is the biggest reason I put in my order, and again, you should be very familiar with this, but this is the Regadeath Records release, the Nunslaughter Crucified Mortals split when they were live in Poland. So here you can see the art by Chris Bell, I believe that's his name. I think the whole kind of thing behind it was when the tape was first released, and the quick story behind this because this has something to do with my record label. When this tape was first released, there was 100. It was live in Poland. It was 2009. It was released in like 2014 or whatever. Crucified Mortals. I guess the artist was never credited, but it was purely by accident. It wasn't on purpose. I even saw that the artist actually commented on one of the videos, and I commented back, so that was kind of funny. But my original plan for my label, the first thing I was going to do with Unbaptized was I was going to put out a copy of that tape, repress 100, and do the Polish theme. As you can tell, it's got the Polish flag, so, you know, red and white. And I was going to do everything the same way, just put my label on it instead of the other label, make sure the artist was credited, and just do 100 more tapes and do a Polish theme, where either like a white tape with red lettering on it or something like that. But then Reaper informed me, he's like, yeah, you know, I was reached out to by the guy who does Regadeath, or someone who knows him or whatever it was, to get the audio for this. Like, yeah, there's going to be a Live in Poland split coming out at some point. So, and then I ended up finding a copy of the tape, because the original reason I was going to do it was because I didn't have a copy. It was like the last piece of music from Crucified Mortals I didn't own, because I own everything they've done on CD, LP, and on tape, and even the self-titled, for those who don't know, for those who are Crucified Mortals fans, the self-titled album has 2 versions of the LP. There's the single LP and then the double LP, and I have both, also the CD, also the tape, because the double LP is color vinyl versus black vinyl, and the second LP comes with bonus tracks, which that is actually the music of CM I'm going to do as a 100 release tape demo at some point, end of this year, hopefully. So instead of doing a repress of this, I don't have to, because now it came out in Regadeath. And you can see here, you know, for those who don't know, it should be kind of obvious if you know anything about him. But Jim Sadis, you can tell by the pants, and then the Incubus Serpent Temptation shirt. So if you ever hear J-Dawg go, "Did you get the shirt? Did you get the shirt?" That's the shirt. That's the shirt they're talking about. There was a picture of Reaper and Jim and I'm guessing maybe Zach and Don. I don't remember, but he showed me the picture, and it's the one where Jim wanted to make sure that shirt was in the shot, so everyone knew he had the Serpent Temptation shirt. So now it's on the art here, obviously the Tomb of the Mutilated art, which is cool, an homage to Jim, and then his red pants, which, I mean, I never even met the guy. I've just heard stories about him, and even I know about the red pants. I know about the shirt and all that, so kind of cool. So for people who obviously knew him, that's got to be like just a great way to just continue to you know, keep him alive in the music scene, as well as picking up those like Spawn of Satan CDs, which I know Reaper did, and I had a few copies. I sold all of mine, other than the few copies I'm going to keep for myself. So I don't know if Hell's Headbangers has any more, but Spawn of Satan, grab those if you haven't already. The double disc that comes with everything, it's awesome, really enjoyable. And this came on a double LP, so both Crucified Mortals and Nunslaughter have their own LP. So if you're only a fan of one of the two bands, which would be kind of weird, but I guess you could be, then at least you have all the music on one. So, and they come in these red LPs, so I think that's super cool. Yeah, so I'm really glad that I got this release, and I'm really excited about the extras that I got, including this tape, which, you know, really excited about that for Addict to be able to go see them and have them sign everything. And you know, as Justin said, you see him in the States, you may never see him again, so that might be true. So if you're going to go out to Dead by Dog, just make sure you grab some tapes or CDs or something, or LPs, and you know, get them signed while you're there if you're a big fan of the band. And definitely grab this release if you can. There's 300 copies. I don't know if they'll be sold out at any point. I mean, eventually they will, because Reek of Death always sells out, but probably not getting repressed. So unless you have the original tape, which I do, definitely worth grabbing this either way. So let me know what you thought of these releases, and I'll see you in the next video.